Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you. I am Vaishali, welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First View Group toward today's webinar on Women in Power, the faces behind Africa's solar industry. This is a dedicated webinar on women thought leaders who are leading the solar industry in Africa region or have been inspiring other women by breaking the corporate glass ceiling. Thank you all the attendees for joining us today. I hope all the attendees have a great time networking with your peers in our exhibition tables. We will have that networking session again after the panel discussion as well. Now, I take the pleasure to thank our sponsor, Jinko Solar, for extending their immense support to organize this event. So now, we will be playing our sponsor videos.
Energy lays the foundation of civilization and gives wings to science and technology. Every progress made by humanity has been driven by the reimagination of energy. Now that our planet has come to the consensus on a more sustainable and low-carbon development model, clean energy, represented by solar energy, is now in the spotlight for the potential value it has to offer. Jinko Solar is a solar energy company dedicated to the R&D and manufacturing of photovoltaic products, as well as a provider of integrated clean energy solutions. The company fulfills its mission to optimize the energy portfolio and take responsibility for enabling a sustainable future, strives for world-class quality with Chinese efficiency, and empower a green future with innovation. We forge ahead with foresight. Throughout our 16 years of growth, we have remained true to our founding values, established ourselves in the industry, and stayed in step with the ever-changing market. We were the first to propose the idea of integrated production capacity. Investing in the sections with the most sustainable value in the industrial chain has helped us gain a competitive edge beyond cycles. Based in China, we have built our presence all across the world. Relying on our global sales network and after-sales service teams, we provide high-quality products and localized services to customers in over 160 countries and regions. We are present across all time zones on Earth. We strive to stay ahead of the curve. For many years, we have remained in top spot in PV shipment ranking with over 100 gigawatt module shipment around the world. We've been committed to scaling up new heights. As an innovative leader in China's strategic new industry, we are constantly exploring the possibilities of innovation and replicable applications, and consecutively broke the world record for efficiency 19 times. We are committed to energy transformation. We actively invest in the next generation of photovoltaic technology and explore multiple prospective fields, formulating an effective coordination among our R&D, manufacturing, and sales, ensuring first-time value conversion of innovation. Our hard work has paid off with remarkable results. As a major ruler setter in the industry, Jinko possesses a leading intellectual property system. It is a national enterprise technology center and national technological innovation demonstration enterprise. We keep improving until perfection and aspiring to be known for our supreme manufacturing quality. Relying on the advanced smart production line, we have realized informatization for the entire production process. Our modules have won the title of Best Performed for many years, helping Chinese products to gain global recognition. We always seek for a better future. We are constantly exploring the real-life application possibilities for the photovoltaic technology in a variety of fields, including architecture, transportation, production, and living. With the record-high business performance, the ever-expanding market share, and industry-leading growth rate, Jinko Solar, which has landed on the STAR market, will take advantage of the national technology strategy to create a shared future with like-minded partners. Jinko Solar is honored to take on the glorious mission and opportunities by history to keep leading innovations, fulfilling our responsibilities, and protecting the environment, so as to compose a magnificent chapter dedicated to the photovoltaic industry. Empower a brighter future with solar.
We have another video, short video.
Jinko Solar creates workplace where our people thrive and success. We're here to talk about them, the people who bring our technology and products to empower the world in the cleanest and most sustainable way. The people in our labs, our factories, our offices, our warehouse. We are committed to create a space where they're respected, engaged, encouraged, and fulfilled. And this is how we're making this happen. As the world's first solar company joining RE100, we're committed to be 100% powered by the renewables by the year 2025. We plan to reach this goal across global managed portfolio. To do that, we locate newly built factories in renewable-rich regions. We install all available factory rooftops with solar. We significantly increase in supine and off-site renewable electricity sources. We optimize energy efficiency across our operations. We are proud of the impact we have. Through our development activities across the world, we're supporting local economy and employment. We are further maximizing our social impact through community donation and educational partnership. We recognize the importance of managing ESG risks and opportunities and have created a culture that enables everyone at Jinko Solar to act lawfully and responsibly. Our structure is well established and ensures we always operate in the best interest of our stakeholders. We promote transparency, ongoing dialogue, and compliance, and have embedded a governance framework that enhances corporate performance. It enables us to have a consistently positive impact on environment and communities. We are proud of what we are making. Change today's energy portfolio and take the responsibility of the future.
So now let's begin with the first presentation by Ms. Yewande Olatunde, Jinko Solar. Welcome, ma'am. Can you please unmute, ma'am? And share
Thank you very much. Yeah, can you hear me all?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone across Africa and across the globe. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on this beautiful session. Women in Power, the faces behind Africa's solar industry. And I'm sure you can agree with me that the place of women in the energy industry, in the energy space, cannot be overemphasized. It's very important for inclusion, for a robust development of the energy space. I'm going to be briefly speaking on, Jinko Solar. Luckily, we've gone through the video, so I'm going to be very fast about this. Jinko Solar is the leading, number one leading technology OEM, that's operation and maintenance manufacturing company when it comes to solar PV modules. And we've also expanded our portfolio when it comes to the energy storage, the solar street lights, the solar water pumps, and the BIPV. Today, we're number one when it comes to shipments, and this has been for 4 consecutive years. Today, as at the first quarter of 2022, we delivered 100 gigawatts of solar modules across the globe. Currently, we have 12% market share, and we've beaten 19 world records, of course, still growing and still moving fast in the industry. We are today in over 160 countries, of course, including sub-Saharan Africa. We have over 31,000 employees across the globe, and of which, out of these 31,000 employees, 10,000 are females, and we're still increasing in numbers of females, such that we maintain gender parity and gender equality even in the organization. We have 12 production facilities, spread across the continent. We can see here from the map in the US, in Malaysia, Vietnam, and China itself, where we have the largest number of the production facilities. Across the world, we have over 3,000 growing customers, who can testify of the quality of the customer centricity and the deliverables in terms of service for what Jinko is supplying for their products, from residential to commercial to utility scale projects. As you've seen on the video, or by the video, as at first quarter of 2022, we hit a milestone of 100 gigawatts of solar modules being disbursed across the globe, on people's projects, on countries' projects. Our core businesses, of course, everyone is, we are all familiar with solar PV modules that Jinko is very, very good on. And we have expanded that, also in terms of, quality, innovation, creativity, and from the P-type solar modules, which are all familiar with, which is the 54 cell, the 60 cell, the 72 cell, and the Tiger Pro 72 cell, which is the bifacial. We now have today launched across, different countries, including Nigeria, the Tiger Neo module series. Now, one of the specialties and the peculiarities about the Tiger Neo module series, it's in terms of the higher efficiency, lower degradation, the lower temperature degradation, higher bifaciality. Of course, the useful life is higher than the Tiger Pro. The Tiger Neo is 30 years as compared to the Tiger Pro, which is 25 years. And yeah, of course, the technology is different. We're using the TopCon technology, which is different from the PERT. And one of the advantages of the TopCon over the PERT P-type technology is that you're able to gain more power from the sun. That's from the sun, the solar irradiation, and thereby you're able to generate more electricity using even a lower number of panels as compared to the Tiger Pro. Of course, just talking about one of the benefits or some of the benefits of the Tiger Neo, we can see here that there's advanced warranty, as I'd mentioned earlier. So now on the Tiger Neo modules, we have 30 years performance warranty. On the first year degradation, we have less than 1% as compared to 2% on the Tiger Pro models before. Also on the linear degradation, which is from year 2 all the way to year 30, we have 0.4% linear degradation, which is also better than the Tiger Pro, which was 0.45% degradation. So yeah, you can see that you can get better performance, better yield across the lifespan of your modules when you use the Tiger Neo for your project. Also, when it comes to the improved bifacial factor, that's for bifacial modules, it has increased here to now you have, the N-type having the higher bifacial factor as around 1.35%, going to 80% additional power to, what you're going to generate as compared to using the Tiger Pro modules. Of course, also on the better low light performance, this talks about as early as 6 a.m. Once there is daylight, your solar modules, the Tiger Neo modules are able to harvest electricity from the sun and power your facility, power your project in due time. This way you can see here from the chart. looking at the P type and the N type, you have, higher yield and extended power time frames from the morning to the evening, as high as 1 hour additional power that you can generate from the Tiger Neo models. Looking at the temperature coefficient improvement, we know that there are some areas both in Africa and outside Africa that the temperature coefficient could be really extreme. And that's one of the reasons why the innovation of the Tiger Neo came on board, such that we can now cater much for extreme weather conditions, extreme temperatures. And this has increased from the Tiger Pro all the way to the Tiger Neo. So now we can see a 3% additional coefficient when it comes to temperature increase, whereby this way your increase in temperature does not affect the generation of your power, as compared to before, that the higher your temperature coefficients, the higher your temperature, the lower you're able to generate power. But now with the Tiger Neo modules and a better temperature coefficient, which is improved, even at extreme temperatures, your solar modules to perform outstandingly well, for your projects. Apart from the solar PV modules that we also have the PV Plus. Now, on the solar PV Plus, the first is the solar ESS, which is the energy storage solutions. And this ranges from the residential scale all the way to the utility scale. Now, the residential ESS, starts from the 1 kWh all the way to 50 kWh. And this is a completely inclusive solution as the hybrid inverter, of course, with the MPPT solar charge controller, and then the lithium iron phosphate battery itself. And so this is very good. We've seen the work. We've seen our customers, our distributors use this for their projects across the globe, and it's been giving them the performance and the results that they've requested for. For the CNI storage, we have from the 50 kilowatt hour all the way to the 1 megawatt hour ESS solutions. This is fully containerized. It has in it the battery management system, the PCS, which is the hybrid inverter, of course, the battery rack, the battery bank itself. It is remotely monitored, so you have the remote monitoring system in it. It has an STS, which is the static transfer switch. And one of the advantages of the STS is that it ensures that you have a seamless change or a seamless switch between whichever source of power that is available, which is from your solar to your battery to grid or generator, whichever you're connecting and powering your facility at any point in time. And of course, for the utility scale, we also have the energy storage solution that can be deployed to your project on the utility scale systems. This is greater than 1 megawatt hour. And we have project references, in Asia, in the US, in the Middle East, when it comes to the utility scale projects. We are an award-winning company, and we're very peculiar and very particular on quality, on standards, on health and safety, on innovation. We've won the All Quality Matters Award, and then we were awarded the top performer by PVL, DNVGL for 7 consecutive years. So it shows that we are not just sitting at the backstage, we're continuously improving, which is one thing that is very key to Jinko Solar. Not to undermine the fact that in Jinko Solar today, as of December 31, 2020, Jinko Solar had 24,000 employees. Of course, today we have over 35,000 employees. And of that 35,000, we have 10,000 women across, from the sales department to the engineering, to the R&D, to the manufacturing, to the production, to the research, to the sales and operating teams. Women who are making moves, who are speaking forth, who are breaking barriers, who are doing amazingly well in the field, and who are pushing Jinko Solar brand and the product across the globe. Jinko Solar also has 656 middle level and above managers, of which 131 are female managers, which is accounting for 20%. One of the things that is also key for Jinko Solar is equality. Equality in pay, equality in the way both women and men are treated, equality in terms of resource availability to both men and women. So it's not a case where women are given a lesser attention than the men. It's not a case where if a man is on the same level, the same educational qualifications as a woman, is going to be paid more. So far, we've had that equality and that balance in the system when it comes to women and men in Jinko Solar. We're also very keen on putting our voice out there on climate action, on climate mitigation. We understand, the dire need today when it comes to climate change, and we today we've joined the UN. We've joined the United Nations Global Impact, and which is the REN 100. One of the things we're doing is leading by example. Today, our factory in China is completely 100% powered by solar. And this is one of the things we keep doing to ensure that we're not just talking, we're also doing the talking, and also making sure that people can see that we are not just selling this product, we're also using the product and pushing it out there. In summary, Jinko Solar is known for four major things. We are fair in how we deal with our customers, fair in how we relate when it comes to technology and innovation. We are responsible, so we don't just send you the product and the equipment. We also ensure that we monitor what you're doing. We monitor that your system is properly installed. We go ahead to carry out trainings, virtual and physical onboarding trainings, induction trainings, commissioning trainings to ensure that you're very familiar with the technology that is being deployed from Jinko. We are diligent in our research, we're diligent in our service, we're diligent in being customer centric and customer friendly. And of course, we're very innovative. We don't stop at one technology, we keep innovating, we keep being creative. And this has moved us and proved that we are the leading OEMs when it comes to not just solar PV modules today, but even the energy storage solutions, the solar street lights, the solar water pumps. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the insightful presentation, ma'am. So now it's time to begin our much awaited panel discussion in which our expert women panelists will discuss the energy transition and the role of women in today's era. And to discuss this, we have beautiful women leaders from the solar industry. Miss Queen Ivinwa, Africa Clean Energy Technical Assistance Facility. She is the moderator. Miss Yevande Elatunde from Jinko Solar. Miss Oniene Anene Zelu, NG Energy Access Nigeria. Miss Madeline Van Walt Solarize Africa. Miss Olaimi Orovolo Husk Power Systems. Miss Oyomide Agbola Vesta Solar. Miss Vanessa Man I Am Power Private Limited. I welcome all the panelists on the screen. Before handing over the session to Queen Ma'am, I would like to make a small announcement for all the attendees. If you have any questions during the discussion, please post them in the Q&A box. Our panelists will take those questions at the end of the discussion. Now I request Queen Ma'am to lead the discussion. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Queen Agomo, the Assistant Country Manager for the now concluded Africa Clean Energy Technical Assistance Facility Program. Today, I'll serve as the moderator for this panel session. Apologies, my internet is a little bit lagging, so I just turned off my video for now. So energy transition refers to the global energy sector shift from fossil fuels, including oil, natural gas, and coal, to renewable energy sources like wind and solar, as well as lithium ion batteries. Energy transition is important to achieve universal access to modern energy services, to double the uptake of renewables, and to increase the efficiency improvement rates. The energy sector is projected to see a rapid growth from 11 million in 2019 to 42 million employees in 2050. In order to achieve the SDG 7 goals and to overcome extreme poverty, the energy sector needs to harness talent in all its forms and foster innovation across a vast array of skill sets. This is an opportunity to accelerate the shift to an inclusive workforce and to societies that leave no one behind. And now, today, we'll be discussing the role of women in the global energy transition. With me on this panel are six women leaders who are inspiring and rising in the energy sector across Africa. I will now allow all six ladies to introduce themselves by their name, company, and position. So we can start from Madeline. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madeleine van der Walt. I'm the Head of Marketing and Human Resources for Solarize Africa. We were nominated for Africa Solar Company of the Year this year, and we're a Pan-African Energy as a Service provider.
Thank you. Mrs. Ayomide.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ayomide Agbola. I'm the country manager for Westa Solar. We're a solar developer in Nigeria with a focus on West Africa. We finance, design, build, and operate and maintain solar solutions for commercial and industrial entities in our focus areas.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for having
much.
me here today.
Thank you. Mrs. Olayemi. Mrs. Olayemi, you're muted. Okay, can we have Ms. Vanessa? Could you please come on and just introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having Empower online today. I am from the Business Development Division.
And I'm Robin Rue from the Engineering and Design sector.
Thank you so
And
much.
we're from Empower.
Awesome. Great to have you. Let's have Ms. Yewande.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon once again. My name is Yewande Olatunde. I'm the technical sales manager for Jinko Solar, covering West African market. And of course, I would always say we are the leading OEMs on solar modules, energy storage solutions, and of course, we've increased our portfolio to solar water pumps, solar street lights, and of course, the building integrated photovoltaics as well. I look forward to an interesting session and to also have your inquiries on the Jinko Solar product as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Ms. Onine.
Hi everyone, good day. My name is Onye Anene, head of mini grids for NG Energy Access Nigeria. NG Energy Access, we're a pan-African country, a company in 9 African countries. We're the leading mini grid, solar home system, and pay-as-you-go energy solution company in Nigeria. We strive towards, achieving the UN SDG 7 goals by providing, universal energy access and promoting clean energy around sub-Saharan Africa. Today, we have already transformed over 7 million lives in 9 countries. Our goal is to get that number to 20 million by 2025. I look forward to having an interesting session with my friends and everyone on the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourself. So now we'll be taking on the questions, and I will just, give a brief background and just call on one of the ladies to please just give more context, information, experience on any question that I call out today. And so right now we're looking at rising to leadership roles. And so having women leadership role is more important than ever. However, the number of women in top energy roles is still painfully low. So about 22% to 32% women employees in the global energy sector as of 2019. So we have now seen how people like Damilola Ogunbiyi, the CEO and Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All and co-chair of the UN Energy, has brought sustainable change to the Nigerian energy sector during her tenure as the MD CEO of the Rural Electrification Agency. And now, so I'm going to call on Ms. Madeleine. And so, what would you say are the skill sets, specialization, and experience required for women to strategically position themselves for leadership positions in the energy sector?
Thank you, Queen. Well, before we can position ourselves at a leadership level, we need the numbers. So we need women at all levels to build that strong leadership pipeline so that we can then later get to all the levels. So that's why we also need the specific employment goals and gender diversity goals. Very proud to say that at Solarize Africa 18 months ago, we had 0 women. And today, even with our rapid expansion, we're 30% female in the company. But that's not where we're going to end. We're aiming for 50. And we're very proud to be part of the Women for Green Jobs program that's backed by the Rockefeller Foundation and the EAAP, where we want to place 750 women in green energy jobs throughout sub-Saharan Africa. But now when we're talking about the different skills and expertise and experience that we will need to make it at a leadership level, I like to refer to the World Economic Forum's report on the future of jobs. The last one came out in 2020. And a couple of skills that were highlighted there included analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility. Now, these 3 skills were actually part of previous reports as well. But new skills that weren't in previous reports included self-management, active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. So that is what we will need to make it in 2025 and beyond in any position. And luckily, I think some of these are actually quite well suited to our specific gender. And if we even take that more just to the energy sector, what will it take? What are the skills that we need? We need to immerse ourselves in the industry. Ladies, don't be afraid to get on the roof. If we work in solar, if we work in renewable energy, let's get on the roof. Let's do our part. Don't be afraid to get dirty. We can only lead what we really understand. So let's make ourselves part of that process. Thanks, Queen.
Thank you so much. Well said. I'm trying to take notes, and I think I was able to capture some skill sets such as analytical skill sets, creative skill set, flexibility, and risk tolerance, and I guess the rest. But these are really good skill set that I think women should have to keep moving forward in any leadership position, particularly in the energy sector. I'm going to call on Ms. Ayomide to just shed some light on how should women in leadership positions aim to create a compelling vision that strives for equality and diversity?
So I think Madeline has set a very good precedent for me, thankfully. Thank you. In that, there are skills that women who strive for leadership should go should lean towards, right? But more importantly, the women like us who are already in leadership, we're kind of like the scapegoats, if you may, to see whether or not this women leadership thing really works. So, we're trailblazing essentially, and we should be setting the example, and really emphasizing the fact that there's really no difference between a female leader and a male leader. Yes, physical features are different, but that's pretty much it. We're just as intelligent, just as diverse, just as flexible as the male, should I say, counterparts in similar roles. So we should really not play into the gender stereotypes that already make people more skeptical about women leadership. I think that once that our performance creates a compelling argument for women in leadership, and once that is established, it's easier to open up more roles for other women, and more roles for other women to fill, essentially.
Thank you so much. Well said. Definitely. As a woman leader, you need to strive for competency and excellence and outstanding performance, just so that gives more confidence to the male counterpart. I know there's a saying that says, "What a man can do, a woman can do better." And sorry, no offense to the guys out here. Thanks for joining us today. And so we're going to move into the next question, and this is for Ms. Olayemi. I hope your mic is working now. So studies have shown that there's a link between poor participation of women in decision-making positions in the natural gas industry and the slow attainment of the energy transition goals. So basically, they're trying to say the reason why we're not able to achieve the set targets for the energy transition goals is because there are poor participation of women in the oil and gas sector. And so, what is your advice? How do we change this narrative?
Okay, thank you so much, Queen. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. So, increasing gender diversity is actually very important, like my colleagues already said, in the energy sector today. It opens up the pool of talent that you can actually tap from to actually drive this transition. Currently, I think about 2019, the women employment rate was 22% in the traditional energy space and 32% in the renewable energy space. And as low as this percentage was, right, just about 17% of them were actually occupying leadership positions. So that just tells us how underrepresented women are in the industry today, right? So while this is actually very evident, right? The renewable energy space, for example, where I play, is actually currently in its nascent stage, and it's very dynamic and open to change, right? So um, there's a lot that can be done. According to Ernst and Young Index of Women and Power in Utilities in 2019, African companies with women representation in the top quartile of their management actually outperform their peers by 14% on an average. So it actually just makes more sense to have a women in management, like on representing management on your management team, right? Because statistics has proven it already. Sheryl Sandberg once said, and I quote, that we need women at all levels, including the top, to change the dynamic, to reshape the conversations, to ensure that the voices of women are actually heard and heeded and not overlooked or ignored. So supporting women to actually take on leadership roles in the energy sector would actually be a very good way to open ways for more women to actually join the sector. A very clear example is when I'm conducting an interview, I always ensure that I have women applicants in the pool, right? So I'm looking out for women applicants and saying, okay, so how many women actually applied, right? Do they have a fighting chance, right? Let's give them that opportunity to actually compete, because the sector is already clearly dominated by the male counterpart, and then you have to create that atmosphere for women to actually have a fighting chance. Another thing is we have to make sure the organizations are actually better adapted to women. You know, I hear about industries or organizations where they don't even have restrooms for female. I mean, that's just sad. That just tells you how low with inclusion that industry actually is, or that organization actually is. So we have to make our organizations more adapted to women. It's time for women to feel more appreciated, more motivated to work. It's time for them to know that their efforts are actually valued. You know, we need to have policies in Africa, for example, that actually encourages and incentivizes organizations to include a certain percentage of their women, of women in the workforce in the organization. There has to be an active plan to say, you know what, as a government, as Nigeria, as Africa, this is what we want to do to ensure that this happens. Thank you very much, Queen.
Thank you so much. Yes, I definitely agree. We have to consciously and intentionally make the effort to ensure that women are included. So, well, good point. So, we're going to be moving to the next theme, the next topic, and this is navigating the workplace culture. And so I'll call on Ms. Madeline again. So, with the pandemic forcing organizations to radically change how they work, like we now, I mean, right now we're having this meeting, this webinar via the computer and the internet. And so how can women create a productive and positive workplace culture in a remote slash hybrid work setting?
Well, what an exciting time to be part of the working culture, right? With how things drastically changed over the past 2.5 years. Well, even you can see the background here. We invited each other into our own homes, and I'm so happy about the impact that that has had on the workplace, actually. We've seen that our employees, that our teams have become more human, and you are more feel more at home in the company because you can now really be yourself. So with that comes the couple of policies that in the States, I know they struggle with that, so they had to really create policies to make people feel included and that they really belong there. But in a company like ours and in an industry like ours, I know that it is a little bit more natural for us to make people feel part of this culture. And the role that women have to play in this is actually, it works so well for us because if we look at some of our traditional strengths, once again, it's not always, but I think if we look at our biological things, women are statistically stronger with empathy. We're very good at multitasking. Once again, not the rule, but it's statistics. Women are also really good at team building, the way that we can connect, we work well in groups, we show that we care, and the impact that that has on the different team members is how us as women can make others feel like their roles are important and help them create a sense of purpose. So as women, we are so critical to make it work in this flexible hybrid environment. And we've seen that that actually works very well for companies. Organizations with inclusive business cultures and policies are 59% more likely to experience creativity, innovation, and openness. And we've seen that this approach that's rooted in empathy, multitasking, team building, still focusing on productivity, really works for us at Solarize as well.
Thank you so much. Very well said. So I think, ladies, we can actually have the pandemic to thank for making life more easy for us to create a more balanced life. You know, you can have your kids at home now, and you just basically don't have to bother too much. But yeah, thank you so much, Miss Manley. That's all well said. So that helps to create a sense of purpose, to foster creativity, and foster more interactions. Okay, so the next question would be for Miss Ayomide. And I just wanted to just mention that around the globe right now, female leadership is on the rise and is becoming a centrifugal force for good in the world. However, in this part of Africa, in this part of the continent in Africa, it's not necessarily the case, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, due to historic societal culture and norms. Women are not easily seen as a leadership figure, so we have to work so hard to impress and prove that we have what it takes to lead. So, what can women leaders do in the workspace to change this narrative?
Um, I, th- I think to answer this question, it'd be best to share experience. So Yemi and Onye and I actually connected Ikeja Electric. We were part of we were part of Ikeja Electric's graduate trainee program, and we were usually paired with our male colleagues in whatever office we're at. And I can tell you the number of times that I had I was identified or I was assumed to be the secretary to my colleague who was in the same office with me. Um, Now the average, I mean, I have to put myself on the spot here. My usual reaction was anger, right? And even if I didn't express that anger was there because I was really upset that you just assumed that because I'm the female in the room, that I'm the one who's taking the notes and getting tea and all that, you know. But I noticed that the solution, because the anger wouldn't get anything, you know. The angrier you looked and got, you know, the more whoever it is that was referring to you as a secretary would want to keep away from you anyway. But the answer was to show the knowledge that I had, you know, or that I have. And I think that really goes a long way. I'm saying all that background to explain how people's perception of you changes based on what you project, right? So if I'm projecting the person who's upset that you're thinking, that you're assuming that I'm the secretary, then you would just keep away from me. But if I'm projecting the person who has the answer to the questions that you have and shows the intelligence that you need to solve your issue, then you will be drawn to me. Then you would even ask, okay, how do you know this? Well, it's my job, But I wouldn't have that opportunity to say that to you in the first place if I was standoffish and I was upset um, about how you approached me. Now, a lot of women engineers that I know find this need to um, what's the good word to use now? This need change to actively change other people's perception of you. They find it frustrating, and I agree with that 100%. But it's just unfortunate, like you said, that we're in this part of the world where the average woman is expected to be at home caring for kids, not being in a male dominated work environment like we are in energy and engineering. But the buck still stops with us, in that we have to actually change that narrative actively by being what they expect to see from the male engineers or the male engineering energy experts and all of that. The intelligence, the flexibility, the ability the excellence at work, which we all have. It's easy to shrink away from showing that because you already feel marginalized to begin with. But there has to be that step forward, like this is what I have to do to change that narrative. I have to show that I'm able, I'm up to the task. I have to attend, I have to speak at a webinar, I have to put out articles, I have to show what my brain is made of. It's not just about my physical features, it's not about what society has relegated me to be. It's about what I can actually do and have been doing. So there's a lot of work for us to do to close that acceptability gap, but I don't think it's insurmountable.
Thank you so much. Ms. Olayemi, would you like to add also some comments to this question?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Queen. So media already said really, really good points, right? So aside being excellent, right, as a female leader, we need to learn to support women, right? We need to be intentional about that. It means a whole lot because women actually go through a whole lot trying to balance their lives. I mean, you're trying to give the best at the office, you're trying to give the best at home, your kids, you have friends, there are other programs that are demanding a whole lot. And I remember when I was pregnant and then I had a baby and I had to combine all of that with work and then with school. There were days where I could actually get barely 4 hours of sleep. Like that became a normal life, like back to back, right? And, just hearing another female leader saying, oh man, well done, right? Thumbs up, you're doing great. As simple as that sounds, it actually goes a very long way. That well done, that pat at the back to say hugs and kisses, right? It actually goes a very long way. So as much as possible, right? When you see go through who are trying their best at work to to break the bias, we need to learn to support them and show that, give them that thumbs up and clap for them to say yes, well done, you're doing great. I think that support really goes a very long way as a female leader. Thank you, Queen.
Thank you so much. That's a really good point. I definitely agree as well. Every now and then, we all need a thumbs up and to say we're doing well. Just keep going. Yeah, practice makes perfect. Excellent. So we're moving to the next theme, and this is this demystifying the new energy era. I'm going to call on Ms. Onyinye. And so, despite progress in the renewables uptake, energy efficiency, and energy access, the world is still lacking in meeting its targets. That the target of the Paris Agreement, or even the target of the SDG Goal 7. So yes, there's so much being done in the sector, yet we're not meeting target. Why? And how can we increase this energy access, especially to the poor and the vulnerable communities? Onyinye? Is she there?
Yes, thank you very much, Queen. I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Yes, you rightly confirmed that we are lagging. According to the SC for All, over 70 million people still don't have access. And even the tracking, tracking the result now, it still puts it at 2030, which is when we should have achieved universal access. Over 600 million may still not have access. So the report is showing that maybe in the next 8 years, we will only be able to electrify about 200 million people out of the 750 million, which still leaves a very big gap. While there has been increase, the access rating has increased. From like 49%, I think, to about 60% in Africa. Um, that is not able to match the population growth. So you see that the population growth in Africa is way higher than most other countries. So it's like we're chasing. It's like the more effort we put in, the bigger the hole, because you electrify one, but population is growing by four. So we're just almost going around an elusive cycle, right? But again, that doesn't mean we can't solve the problem. There are very smart women on this panel. And I believe that we can solve the problem. And I think for me, in terms of the solution, the critical factor is that political will to make a decision. And because it's been done in other places, I take Morocco as an example. They are the success story. In 15 years, Morocco moved from 18% energy access to almost 100%, about 95% energy access. And interestingly, they didn't privatize. We talk about privatization. Interestingly, it's still one vertically integrated utility. They haven't done anything radically different, like what you will hear. What was critical to that movement, was just a strong political will to say we're going to electrify this country. We're going to move this country, from the 18% to the best, energy access rates, that we have seen, the most accelerated that at least the reports show, that is available today. What was critical was that there was that political will, and because of that political will, whatever resource that was required, was provided, whether it be strong, policy frameworks, implementation of those frameworks, because for some of us, we have good frameworks on paper, good English, beautifully written, but implementation is usually then an issue. So the policy framework also allowed, for that implementation. And I think one of the unique things they did was that they contextualized their problem. So it wasn't about importing a solution from somewhere. It was about looking internally, finding the problem, finding the solution that matches the problem in the context of Morocco, right? And then just spreading that across the country. Like I said, they still have most of their energy infrastructure is still owned by the government, but they were able to do that, and they did that. I mean, from 1990 to about 2005. So it was very recent, right? And they were able to do that. So I think the solution is just taking from what Morocco has done to say, once we have that strong political will, and we're able to.
Okay, seems like we have lost Oni there a bit, but thank you so much for that bit shared. I think we're able to glean from the knowledge that she shared, and I think it's more of cross learning from other countries, basically what has worked for them and what can work for us, particularly in the case of Morocco. There was a strong in policy implementation. So yeah, maybe if we have time, we'll come back to you. I also like to hear how finance is also integrated into that, because when you talk about meeting the goals and the targets, obviously you need to put out a certain amount of mini grids, solar home systems in rural areas, and these areas also they lack access to finance. So I was hoping to hear that point as well. But
I'm still
are
on
you
the
back?
line. Yes,
Okay,
I'm still
sure. Please,
here.
you can
Yeah.
round up.
Yes, so yes, and like you just rightly mentioned, finance. Once you have a strong policy framework, the next thing is finance. We need money to solve this problem. It's estimated that you need, at the minimum, 1,000 USD per connection, to solve the problem. And so if we're talking about 17 million people, just do the multiplier. So it requires, a huge inflow of finance to be able to come there. And in whatever form, subsidies, fantastic. We've seen a lot of financial flows, Bloomberg, Rockefeller Foundation, the World Bank, a lot of that is coming in. grant, um, equity, low interest equity, patient equity, the type that you get from philanthropists that just give you equity at very very little hurdle rate, and of course concessional debt. The viability of the energy access space now doesn't allow for commercial debt. The interest rate for that is way high. But if we can continue to get, concessional debt, with single digit interest rate, that will go a long way. The developers are available. I mean, at EEA, we provide both solar home systems and mini grid. So we are in that entire value chain, just trying to solve the energy deficit problem in Africa. So once the finance comes in and unlocks the space, and that finance can be deployed, in the unique countries that we need them, and then that finance can be used to, procure the equipment, do the human capital development that is required, because that's also very critical to make sure that the skills are localized in the places that, there's energy access deficit. There's no need importing skills. We can come in and train those skills and make sure that those skills are available, right? So those are the things that we need to do to be able to close this energy access gap, and guarantee Africa's future. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Thank you so much. Very well said. So definitely we hope that there are financiers that are on this that are attending this webinar, and just let's see how we can take this conversation forward, how we can have more lower interest for debt concession financing. Moving on, I'm going to call on Ms. Yewande. So a study from the REN 21 states that progress in renewables remain concentrated just in the power sector, while there's far less growth in other sectors such as heating, cooling, transportation, manufacturing, industries. What do we need to do to increase uptake of renewables across other sectors? I mean, given the energy transition goals.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would say that um, the prevalent condition of things today is that we need electricity, we need energy access. And the power sector is the focal point of that transition. So most governments today, especially in developing countries, of course, Nigeria inclusive, is looking at electrifying, their nation from the rural to the peri-urban to the urban. And I think that's one of the reasons why it looks like there is a top priority to the power sector, and then there is there's a lag in other sectors. But of course, nonetheless, it's important that as we grow the power sector, we also grow every other sector. And I would say that there has to be a synergy or a nexus between renewable energy technology or renewable energy deployment and energy efficiency. So according to IEA Energy Outlook 2019, 2020, 2021, report, when it comes to energy efficiency makes up 40% of the tackling of or the solution that you can get for climate change, climate mitigation, improving even electrification across board. Now, for when we look at eating, for example, either electricity eating, like eating of water, eating of food, environmental eating, space eating, every aspect of eating, realize that even if you bring in RE technology, you still need a very vantage point on energy efficiency. In fact, energy efficiency, energy conservation should come first on eating, even on power, on lighting, on cooking, on cooling, on when it comes to the CNI space, the industrial space, the FMCGs, transportation. I mean, mention every sector. Energy efficiency goes a long way for you to see that growth, for you to see the impact of renewable energy technology. Because the truth is, if you power an inductive load, for example, it has, the surge power, which is the starting current. And the surge power, sorry, of course, not, I'm going technical now, the surge
Fine.
power shows you that the starting current of an inductive load could be times three higher than, of course, the stable power. And so for RE technologies to, supply that, you might have to really, really oversize or, size up to the starting currents, which will eventually lead to a waste. So why not go into energy efficiency, where we have a better starting current, a better and more efficient power, output or input, and then bring in RE. That way you can see an advantage across board. You can see that the system can now diversify, not just on the power sector, but they now look into heating, look into cooling, look into cooking. Now on the cooking side, I mean, if we look at improve cook stoves or improve cooking methodologies, and now of course this we know that affects the female gender mostly. There is biogas. I mean, nobody says it's only solar. Of course, there is the solar cookers, there is the solar heaters, there is the solar microwave, the solar ovens as well. So you can see that you can actually improve creativity and innovation in such a way that you can begin to develop technologies in those areas. For the agricultural space, there is the solar irrigation systems, there is the solar water pumps, right, which improves and makes it better for the farmers or the agricultural person to do his farming activities. There is there's the solar storage, there is the cold hub. Now the cold hub is like a solar kiosk or a solar freezer where you can preserve your farm produces. So that way you can see that you can reduce wastage of food or cash crops. And so across board, we still need, as my colleague and friend said, the buying of the government. When it comes to lean projects and product management, when it comes to being agile, the importance of the government or the sovereign body or authority is very important. So if the government does not buy into the idea of developing not just the power sector, but then the agricultural sector, the sector when it comes to traditional and domestic fuel use for cooking, for heating, especially that affects women, then we'll see that the priority just stays constant on power sector development. So there needs to be a policy and regulation development that addresses not just the power sector electrification improvement, but also on cooking, also on cooling, also on heating, of course on transportation as well. Today we're looking at green hydrogen, we're looking at blue hydrogen from natural gas, right? Natural gas being the transition fuel that most developing countries are looking at. Even developed countries are still looking at natural gas. So we see that there are so many ways that we can actually develop, not just the power sector, but every other sector, such that there is a robust, holistic improvement of the entire economy that affects not just the men, but of course the youth and the women's lives, which are mostly impacted by climate change today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yewandi. That was really well said. I definitely agree that energy efficiency should be at the forefront because that would be a really, I mean, that definitely makes more sense of how you transition into renewables. And so more advocacy needs to be said on that. And so well said also on other sectors and how that could be integrated. I know your focus more is on the policy, but I also want to let you know that there are policies in existence that cover these sectors, but somehow it just seems like more effort and concentrations are also just in the power sector. So I think it's also a call to action for other OEMs and manufacturers or investors or those looking to enter the country to begin to look at other sectors, look at manufacturing products that will actually be tailored to other, sectors like agriculture, health, and the rest. So definitely, there's a demand everywhere. We just have to be able to find it, and meet this demand. Thank you, well said. So now I'm calling on Ms. Vanessa to tell us how can women leaders influence their organizations and their colleagues to accelerate the energy transition from fossil fuel to more renewable energy sources.
Hi. Thank you, Queen. So Robin and I, as a team, and the 35% of women that we represent at Empower, sat together and we actually went through a lot of these questions as a team and as women trying to empower each other. So what we've decided to do is questions together. So Robin's going to take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so thank you, Vanessa. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the women here. You guys make excellent points, especially when it comes to how to influence. Actually stepping back from that. If somebody has a stereotype of you as a woman, stepping back and actually, rising to the occasion to show them what we're actually like to work with in industry and how important it is to kind of make them think. I did not think this would be, the way I would gain knowledge, and to do so through a soft way instead of being angry, proving their point, I guess. So definitely influencing our organizations and our colleagues, I think, is a really, as mentioned before as well, very important. So firstly, I think that question has two sides. Influencing your organization, you can target different markets, and like said as well, giving power to different living standard mediums, not just focusing on the people who technology, but using the technology in their second life cycle. Things like when solar panels, go after their 20 years, their efficiency isn't 0%, it's at 80%. And actually using that to make a second life market where you can, and the same with battery second life, where the costs actually reduce and you can actually then start to introduce solutions and projects towards different markets that do not have the financial capacity to buy the technology for the first life cycle. And doing so, you actually start breaking into the product life cycle of the end, actually using these products all the way through their life cycle, not just throwing them away when they are only at 80%. And I think a lot of women in Africa come from communities who cannot afford this type of technology. So these type of markets and breaking into them and actually making your organization aware of projects and the market that would take up to these things are very important. Also, with regards to your colleagues and influencing your colleagues, I find that clarifying the process of the whole organization is so important to make people aware of where responsibility lies and how to basically create affinity for industry and for the process that's being followed. And we do this by, like we said, upskilling, actually hearing what people have to say, listening to where people's strengths are, and actually utilizing them without, placing these people in boxes. I also think that you can then start playing a role with job crafting, especially with people's strengths and creating or putting women into developing roles that are so important, especially, influencing your force that works with you as well. So yes, definitely important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. That was well said. Definitely like the point on the circular economy and how we need to increase that, especially because there's a huge market for secondhand products. And just like you said, when a certain individual organization has used a solar panel and wants to change to maybe the latest one, so that still has 80% efficiency and could be taken into markets for like for the poorer and vulnerable community. So yeah, definitely well said. And yeah, listening to your colleagues' strengths and utilizing them. Thank you so much. We're going to move into
Hello, ma'am. Are you there? So, just wanted to check. Would you like to give any conclusion remarks, ma'am? Any speaker? Uh,
Okay. So
There's still a couple of things that that Queen wanted to discuss.
okay. I think she
So
has
I wanted
launched
to
some.
just add to what I said regarding how to make progress when it comes to renewable energy projects apart from the power sector. Another aspect is creating or improving awareness. The truth is, if you don't know that you can use RE in agriculture, if you don't know that you can use RE when it comes to the industrial sector, for manufacturing and for large scale projects, you might never, check out, that option. So improving the awareness across other sectors that, okay, yes, there is, the opportunity for developing renewable energy in the agricultural sector, in the transport sector, in the, manufacturing and industrial sector, then you see that there will be an increase or an improvement in those sectors when it comes to the development of RE as well. So not just power sector. I think the reason why it looks like there is more attention on the power sector today is because there is the challenge of energy access, of electrification access. And so until we see that, and apart from electrification, there's also a need to improve our agricultural produce. There's also a need to improve productivity when it comes to manufacturing. There's also a need to improve our way of living, residentials and all, and eating and cooling, and even how we transport, carpooling and all the likes. Then we see that, whatever policy or regulation we already have would be done in such a way that, of course, as Madeline mentioned, contextualized, such that addresses the local context and the major needs of each and every specific country or sector that we need to improve on. So I just wanted to add that to what I said earlier.
I think we can go through because we kind of have an outline for progress. So I think Onye can go ahead until Queen gets back. Is that fine?
Yes, we did. That's
All right.
fine.
Okay,
So
Um,
do
great.
you just read the question out and then
Yeah.
proceed?
hmm
okay, I'll do
See,
just
women,
that.
women working. Can I just point that out?
Exactly.
Women working.
Yeah, so I think we were supposed to start speaking about taking a leap, into entrepreneurship and breaking existing barriers. And I was supposed to just give insights, as to how to improve energy demand, what kind of business models we can use to increase energy demand in rural communities. The context is that despite the fact that we're building a lot of mini grids, um, there isn't really an uptake in demand. And I think this is critical. I think this is a very important question, and it is a challenge that we see, because by the time you raise all that first, you raise all that fund and bring in a mini grid, demand is zero. So there is no equipment, or there's little or no equipment in the location. Um, that is powered by electricity, because before then there was no electricity, so there was no need to have an appliance that is powered by electricity. And so it almost then behoves the developer to then, after providing energy access, to then start providing productive use. But I think it is critical, and especially since Rockefeller Foundation and all of those big industries, and I think SC for All has also joined in that definition, has come out to say that there should be a modern energy minimum of 1,000 kilowatt hour, per person per year. Even in the grid electrified places, we don't see those kind of numbers. But the thing is that there's evidence to show that there's a direct correlation between economic growth and energy use, right? So the more energy use we see in countries, the chances are that there is more economic growth. So it's critical that as we bring it down to a community, that simulating of that demand happens, and it's a win-win-win-win for everybody. So if you stimulate the demand by whatever business model, it means more electricity use, so more sales for the mini grid developer. It means development for the community, so growth of the community, growth of the country, by extension, and it means improvement of the life and the quality of the people that live in that community. So it's very critical, that that demand is stimulated. And there are quite a lot of business models that has been shown to work. So I give you an example of some of the things we have done as EA, in one of the islands in Uganda, right? It's an island, so you have to go by 5 hours by boat to get to that place. The grid can't get there. But the major thing is that it's a fishing community. So after we built our grid, in the island to give power, we then had like a business park that allowed the community to come and buy ice. So after they fish, they can buy ice to cool their ice and then transport it by boat to the mainland. By so doing, we have reduced the entry barrier for them. So imagine that each farmer or each fisher, had to find a system to cool their own ice. But now there's now a big community center, like a business center in the village, where you can come and buy your own portion of ice. And because of that, because of the economics of scale, it becomes very easy. So you can have that model where, as a developer, or you partner with another business, to build like a business hub and kind of have an anchor load in that place that then allows for utilization. But then it must be specific in that community. So you can't build an ice factory in a community that mills rice, right? So if you go to a community that then mills rice, you look at the value chain, the entire value chain from beginning to end, and then you figure out a way that you can support that business, or bring in a third party, right? To support the value chain of that business in that location, to be able to increase productive use, because the focus should actually not just be energy for use, but it should actually be energy for development. We should be bringing energy systems that will accelerate development. There is no need to build a mini grid that powers only light bulbs and fans. We want to build mini grids, that supports the local economy. Because once those mini grids reduce the cost of business and optimize the operations for the local entrepreneurs in that place, then they make more money. Then they make more money, the community grows, they buy more energy, and everybody is happy, right? So those are the kind of models you can bring in. You can just even also do just the basic appliance financing. So not exactly developing any particular value chain, but coming into a village and just being like a loan facilitator, right? So somebody in the village wants a fridge, you do your calculations, you give them a fridge today, they pay over in 12 to 24 months. Another person wants a 5 horsepower mill, you are able to do that. So that is then, essentially giving individual loans to those communities, and then just allowing the use of those appliances for whatever business that they run. So those ones can be done on an individualized basis. You can have the model where you build also around an anchor load. So if there's already an existing business in that location, say there's an MT, say there's a mast, there's a telecom mast, maybe there's already a farm around there, so maybe a big industry had already built a farm around there. You can use that as an anchor load to say, okay, we're building a mini grid here. Maybe 50% of the energy will go to the anchor load, the other 50% we can use, to support the communities around there, and then they're sure, of some level of revenue assurance, to be sure that you can get your investment back. So those are the kind of models that you can deploy for mini grid systems, and to ensure that there's energy for development and the growth and development of the economies in those communities. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
think it is back. So over to you, Queen.
Thank you so much. Definitely, I was able to get some information from you. So, building around the anchor loads in the community, and also for productive use, appliances as well. Excellent. I know that time is fast spent, so I'm just going to call on the rest to contribute. However, in the meantime, please, if you're still joining us, please, and you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat box, and we'll be sure to answer. Calling on Vanessa one more time, just in a minute. So entrepreneurship enables women cater for families and also influence their communities. How do we foster more women entrepreneurs?
Thank you very much, Queen, for the question. Unfortunately, Robin's had to step out, ladies. She was joining us this afternoon. She's gone to go commission a site. So on the back of that, how do we foster more women entrepreneurs? I think the sad thing here is I think a lot of women are already overlooked, and there are many entrepreneurs around us. And I think if we actively take the time to actually appreciate each other and appreciate each other's strengths, we'd actually be able to facilitate, support, educate, encourage, and actually simplify the process of women to actually get to the point where they could actually be entrepreneurial. There are many, many women, as Robin mentioned earlier, in the communities that actually have valuable information that we don't have at our fingertips. We're all at different, we're working at different levels and we're working at different LSMs. And that unfortunately doesn't allow us to enter all the same markets at the same time. Having said that, as women, we are naturally nurturing, and we're social creatures. So we go into the market, we naturally talk about what we love. We're going to be sharing the solar. We're going to be sharing the benefits. And I think if we take the time to appreciate our colleagues and listen to cross marketing, listen to the marketing division, bring marketing into the BD discussions, let the BD discussions be part of the engineering discussions. I think the more that we educate internally within a business, the more we get to the communities, because these people then take this home and they start talking to their children about it. So now you've got children that are educated on solar, they're taking it into the schools and they're telling their friends, you won't believe what my mom or my dad is doing. And I think that's what we should actually look at working on the most, is actually how we support, encourage, and simplify it to articulate this growing and emerging industry into what it actually should be. As it currently stands, I mean, the McKinsey report, women are more likely, 50% higher, the percentage of women are more likely to embrace employee-friendly policies and programs and to champion racial and gender diversity than men in this industry. So we're actually at the cutting edge and actually plant the correct seeds. It's young enough and it's early enough for us to do it. It's not or bygone discriminatory things. And also, we welcome gender equality and race. And I think that's something that we need to take home to our families as well as share amongst our colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, well said. Thank you so much. I don't know if Miss Yewande is still there. I just wanted
Yeah.
her to share. Okay, great. So, what gender perspectives do you think we need for women to imbibe to ensure that the renewable energy projects are sustainable? Because sometimes you see that there are projects in these communities, but after some time they are no longer working and investments are wasted. So what, and I know that when you bring in gender balancing, when you bring in, other, social groups into the picture before these projects are initiated, it really helps. So what gender perspectives do we need to look into when we consider deploying renewable energy projects?
Thank you. I would say that women are key to inclusive and innovative solutions. One thing that is peculiar about women is that we are gatherers. So we have a way that we can gather things, gather people, gather resources, gather solutions, gather ideas, gather people's emotions, feelings, towards something that we are passionate about. I mean, that is one of the peculiarities of a woman. So you can imagine bringing or onboarding women in the energy sector, in the energy space. They bring in that kind of, mentality, that kind of passion, and they're able to gather more people. Now they are gathering both the men and, the children. They say one thing about the woman, that the woman is the home maker. She's the home manager. She's the neck. She's the one that supports the head, who's the man. And then, of course, the branches are like, the children. So you can imagine when the woman is at the helm of affairs, when the woman is, fully involved across the entire value chain of, the entire of the energy sector, you can see that things would definitely rapidly improve. One of the perspectives that needs to be changed, about people is that a woman is not regimented to the administrative part alone, like, Miss Ayomide mentioned, like when they see her, they just feel she's just on the secretariat, duties. But then the truth is, a woman can do amazingly well also on the technical, on the engineering, on the design, on, every other aspect of the energy sector, and we need them. If I want to give a case study of Bangladesh, in between year 2000 and now, there was a man called Barua who, created or who set up the Gramin Shakti renewable energy company. He started up with solar light bulbs, solar lanterns, solar home systems. And by 2010, one of the things that made Gramin Shakti a very successful company was because it involved women. It began to train women as women technicians. So the women began to do the maintenance and operation of the solar home systems, the solar lights, the solar bulbs, the solar lanterns. And by 2010, you already had 1,000 women technicians. And because of those women, they had more people get involved. They had more people switch to renewable energy. It was able to scale up Gramin Shakti, the renewable energy company. If you read it today, it would say a huge success story in Bangladesh that a lot of other developing nations, both in Asia and Africa, has imbibed or taken as a leading example. So that is how much the involvement, or when you change your perspective about women being involved in every all the entire line of the value chain, especially the technical engineering part of the energy sector, how it can scale up, how it can improve, how it can serve as a catalyst to improve electricity access, and even of course energy access, in the sector and in the economy at large. Thank you.
Area. And before we move on to that side, I think we have a question coming from Madeleine. It says, what are, now this is from Yolanda Zipunzi. Sorry if I didn't say that right. What are there, like, sorry, so are there any other specific technical skills required for women in solar industry besides the skills required? So you can take that to the chat box just for time sake. So moving on, Yewande, would you like to wrap up? We lost you there a bit.
Oh, okay. So I was just talking about how the perspective needs to change from people seeing women as only in the the administrative or secretarial duties, but then involving them as well in the technical and engineering part, because the women, as I mentioned, are gatherers. They have the ability to gather people, both men, youth, children, and of course even in women. And so that way they serve as catalysts to improving and scaling up energy access, of course, on a sustainable level, better than when you just limit them to just maybe the administrative parts, or you feel that it cannot be involved in pushing, the technical part of course, of energy, sustainable development, when it comes to energy. I think we lost Queen again. I think we are going to the last session.
Yeah.
I think are you the first person?
Vanessa is.
Okay.
Vanessa, would you like to go on with the final question in the last theme?
We're discussing combating the recognizing the inspirations and driving forces behind this. So my question is, in accelerating the decarbonization of all aspects of our economy, where should investors focus more on? So if we have a look at the retail sectors and we have a look at a lot of land that we have across South Africa, I definitely think that investors, if they're going to be look at investing their money, should definitely look into making their buildings as green as possible. So I have a lot of good relationships with architects, quantity surveyors, and the professional teams that actually work behind the scenes, other than us actually getting involved from a solar perspective and offering, energy efficiency solutions and battery solutions. And it's very important, I think, from that aspect to actually have the conversations with them. And they are well aware. A lot of the architects are also, they get nominated, they receive awards, actually for ensuring that your building is green, and also because people are very conscious of the company at Empower. That's one of our things. We're very passionate about that. We want to actually provide as much, green and solar energy as possible. So within every one of us as employees here, that's our main core focus and passion. So I think that's very important. So where the investors want to invest, making it as green as possible. We've got the Green Building Africa that actually facilitates and assists with this. And a lot of the property owners and developers actually belong to the Green Building Council, as well as the architects and other professionals. I think on the back of that, also just collaborating with everybody. So if you look at we're looking at contractors, you're looking at various ways they're designing and building business, building buildings. I think just getting back together to that, sitting around the table and finding out what product did you use, where does it come from, is it sustainable, is it something that's being recycled, how can we actually work with this, I think is also part of, apologies, I had a little bit of a, so I think it's very important, just holistically seeing the bigger picture. I think a lot of the times we have so much going on that we fail to see the bigger picture. If we take the time to actually see the bigger picture and focus on what the end product will be and what we plan to actually get to, and women are very good at that. We're very good at the here and the now. We're juggling everything in a hurry, making everything work. Like you said, we're gathering information, we're nurturing, we're doing everything, we're sharing leads, we're supporting, and women are naturally just very finely attuned to all of this. While that is happening, keeping the end in mind and actually assisting across all these professionals, and actually helping them get to the point that we need to, then actually it will be a lot easier for us to actually talk about energy efficiency, get it into the market a lot easier, because people are afraid with it. They know what we're talking about, they know what the end product is and the end goal. Another thing I was going to touch on Yenye, you also mentioned microgrids, and Robin and I were in a discussion a bit earlier, and what she mentioned, which I think was very interesting and which I'd like to raise here as well, is that she said that sometimes, if you think of that, there's a benefit on a microgrid, okay, where you can actually do a bit of energy trading, and that's called microeconomics. So where the one has solar power, the one's got PV, maybe there's water in between, where you're kind of creating these little communities out of like the mini grid or the microgrid solution. You're creating these microeconomics, which are then going to start filtering into our townships and filtering into smaller communities and so on. And I think to be aware of them, and we need to be geared and ready in South Africa and the rest of Africa as women. Queen, that's what I have to say.
Excellent, thank you so much. So we have we are 2 minutes over the time, and we just have 2 broad topics to cover. So just for the sake of covering these topics, I'm just going to pick one question in each section, in each topic, and we call it a day. So I think the next 10 minutes we'll be wrapping up. So just to set expectation for timing. Sorry about the spillover. And so looking at the building affinity in energy, I just want to address maybe some people who are here, who are job seekers, and trying to see how we can get into the energy sector, how they can get into the energy sector, and then those who are also in the energy sector who also want to increase their personal brands and increase their visibility so they can, attain more promotion and career growth. I'm just going to call on just 2 people for this session, and just please let's be fast with our response. We're going to call on Olayemi, and then we have Madeline to answer this as well. Thank you. Olayemi, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm back. Thank you so much. So very fast, I'll just say 2 things, right? Number 1 is capacity, and the other one is network, right? Okay, so I'm actually a huge product of both of them, if I must be very honest. Capacity in the sense that you have to read books, right? You have to read about the industry. You have to take the necessary courses that you need to take. You have to ensure that you're building yourself up at every point in time. It's one thing I've come to realize is that people would always go the extra mile for value, right? So be ready to add value, be ready to develop value, like make yourself valuable in the industry. Do you get look for information, what's happening? Do you understand what courses can you take to be relevant in the industry today?
Yeah, very well said.
Who are the people? Yes, sorry. Who are the people in your network? Who are the people you're connecting with? Are you meeting the right people? Are you aligning in the right places? Once you have these 2 things set in place, right? When the opportunities happen, you're just ready and set to take them.
Perfect.
Basically, that's it for me.
Thank you, Madeline. Any comments to add to what Olayemi has said? I agree, actually.
Thank you, Queen. And this also speaks to the question that I received in the column. What are the technical skills? And that contributes to the brand that we can build in the industry. You must always try and upskill. There are quite a couple of technical things that people can train themselves on. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be in the business development side to want to be technical. You can actually try and immerse yourself in that no matter what the discipline is. I quickly wrote down one of my colleagues is busy with a postgraduate diploma in energy leadership. Another colleague is busy with energy efficiency and sustainability online courses from UCT. There's quite a couple of things. I know this is more South African, but because of this is all online, the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers have a couple of online courses that you can use all the time. I encourage people to sign up and become part of AFSIA, the Solar Industry Association, African Solar Industry Association. Locally in South Africa, we have SAPVIA that also offers a couple of technical upskilling opportunities. But the most important thing you can do to build your own brand is to put yourself out there. I said it earlier, don't be too afraid to climb on that roof. One of our accountants recently wanted to go and to travel to Kenya because she wanted to see the sites there, to see the solar panel, solar installations that we have there. She immersed herself, the company, in the industry because she's passionate about renewable energy. And that is how she's building her brand. Get out there, ladies. We can do it. Don't limit yourself just by the here and now. There are lots of opportunities, but raise your hand and show that you have the passion and the dedication to make it work. And there Queen goes again.
Looks like Queen is disconnected again. I think I could take one last point relating to policies that the government can make. I'm not sure how it is in South Africa or in other African countries, but one of the things that Nigeria needs to do is, and this is not gender related, this is in general for energy access, improve policies that support or introduce even policies that support more adoption of renewable energy. For example, we don't have feed-in policies in Nigeria. And so there's a lot that can be done by people who have the capacity and the funds to do a very large installation. They can support the communities around them if feeding policies were available. That would really make energy access growth,
Okay, Miss Ayomi there?
Looks like we lost her as well.
Okay, so it seems like we lost her. Thank you so much for the responses so far. So we're going to wrap this up with just one question, and everybody, all the ladies, all 6 ladies, please just get ready to answer. Just like 30 seconds or less. So now that we're in the post-pandemic world, what can we do in terms of the country as a whole, the government, private sector, OEMs? You could pick a particular category. So basically, what can we do to become more resilient? Right. So this is just a final question, and we close the curtain. What can we do to become more resilient post the pandemic world? We can start with Vanessa.
I think from our side, just realizing that every challenge is actually there to strengthen you, not to break you. So we can bounce back and be. Yes, we are women after all. That's my comment.
Thank you so much. Okay, can we have Yewande, please?
Okay, so I think one of the things we've learned from the COVID is that there is need for flexibility. You can't afford to be, static or rigid. And so the good part of RE development and even for the women is that you have much more opportunities now. For the COVID, take it as an opportunity. There is grit, there is a place for learning. there's a place for mentorship. I wanted to really mention that, that don't under emphasize the place of mentorship. Get a mentor, get mentor. There's so many mentorship platforms that you could utilize and benefit from. So get a mentorship, volunteer. Sometimes might not just be for the profit's sake, might not just be for the money. Of course, the money comes in handy, but then volunteer, gain that experience, gain that knowledge, and then you realize that you position yourself better for these vantage opportunities when they come around. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mentorship, very important. Ms. Ayomide?
Sorry about that earlier. So, in specifically, emotions are not a bad thing because the average African believes that a woman is too emotional to be professional, and I would say embrace your emotions in the sense that figure out how they work for you. Um, we're in the energy sector, we're dealing with electricity. Electricity is one of the top five things, or availability of electricity is one of the top five things that the average human being is thinking about, the average African is thinking about. So it's emotional to them, whether they can have power or not. So that already provides a connection point to anyone that you're trying to say market solar to, or teach about solar, or just tell about your solar experience. So
Thank
that's
you.
already a talking point. So you can
Excellent.
connect emotionally with someone and not feel bad about it, essentially.
I agree. Empathy, a huge leadership skill. Madeline?
Oh, thank you, Queen. In this post-COVID world, there's quite a couple of things that we can do to make ourselves more resilient. I think it was a great learning curve for all of us worldwide, across all industries. But if I can summarize it in three things, the most important thing that we can do to make ourselves more resilient is to realize that diversity makes us stronger. Not just gender diversity, what we're talking about here, but diversity of all kinds. We need cultural diversity to have different viewpoints when we're looking at problems. We need racial diversity. We need people of different language backgrounds, different sexual orientations. All of that will make a team stronger. And I think that more and more that is going to be a key differentiator moving forward. Another very
Excellent.
important thing to become more resilient will be to hire the right people. If you have the right people, you can bounce back very quickly. Then also, when you have the right people, make sure that you upskill them. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, the most competitive businesses will focus on upgrading their workers' skills. But then the last thing that we can do to make ourselves more resilient is to collaborate. Vanessa also mentioned earlier talked about collaboration, and that is key. Resilience is to bounce back, to come back stronger, and we do that through very good partnerships. It's one thing that we're very proud of at Solarize as well, is the quality of our partnerships, and we have seen that that has contributed to our success. That's why it's a recommendation.
Thank you so much. Onyinye, please. And then Yewande.
Okay, so
Just 30
as I think what
seconds,
you need
please.
right now, yeah. So for me, the resources that you have, right? So what exactly do you have right now? Along the lines of what Ayomide said, right? You are a woman, right? What resources do you have right now? You don't have to be a man to be the best at what you do. What you have currently, right? You can be resilient about it and achieve the results that you actually need to get. So for me, just make the best of what you have.
Thank you so much. I think that's it, ladies. Anyone else that hasn't said a last word? Onyinye, are you still there? Okay. Thank you so much to everyone. You ladies are phenomenal and excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed my time moderating this, apart from the internet glitches. But thank you so much for sharing your wealth of experience and your knowledge. And also thank you to the participants who have joined and are still with us up to this point. Please, you can connect with each of these ladies on LinkedIn. I'm sure you can search them by their names, and I'm sure that Basilia will take us further on how to get the recorded session. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day. Basilia?
Thank you, Queen.
Ma'am, we have a questions from the audience for Madeline. I'll just show on the stage and she can answer. 1 second. Uh,
Thank you. I already answered that in
I
my
think to answer
previous
that
slot.
question,
I
she
gave a
answered
couple of
already.
things, but I'm going to say again, AFCIA is a great source of information.
okay.
Just to add to that, there is also RENAC, that's the Renewable Energies Academy, Berlin, where you can get a lot of online courses, very sound technical, finance, business, courses that, from the nascent stage. So you don't need to be, as Madeline mentioned, you don't need to be an engineer for you to grab the concept of renewable energy or power, as a whole, and as well.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. So, thank you very much to our esteemed panel for this wonderful session, and a very special thanks to Queen Ma'am for superbly managing the session. Thank you, everyone, for extending your time and support for the event. We promise you to come back with more exciting topics very soon. Thanks to our partner, Jinko Solar, for the extending their support to organize this webinar. Lastly, I would like to play 2 videos from Jinko Solar. Thank you, everyone. The floor is now open for networking. See you soon.
Thank you, Vaishali.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishali.
Thank you so much, ma'am.